Some of them turned out wonderful. We picked up about 4 small boxes of peaches recently on our way back from a trip to our cabin, and they were seconds, so they were about as ripe can get. Rachel got on the ball pretty quick. She canned up a whole batch of about 8 pints of peach slices and a good 12 to 14 half pints of peach salsa. And this bag is what was left of like the ones that were kind of nasty. The ones that were bruised, obviously overripe. She pitted them and basically cut them in half. And we didn't really know what to do with them. And we saw Sarah over at Living Traditions Homestead recently freeze-dried a whole bunch. So we're gonna give that a try today. And I don't know if ultimately we're going to keep them whole as chunks like I'm making them, or if we're going to grind them up and turn them into a powder. That was one of Rachel's ideas, was peach powder, so that you can add it to breads, cookies, oatmeal, things like that. So I'm gonna get all of these. There's a lot of juice in this bag. I'm gonna get all of these sliced up. We'll put them on trays. We'll take them downstairs to the basement. We'll load them into the freeze dryer. We'll kick off the cycle. We'll let it run all the way through. I'm gonna stick with you guys all the way till the end till we pull these things out so we can try them. We'll make sure we get Rachel in here with us when it comes time to taste test them, and we'll see how they turn out. They are not so pretty right now, so we'll see what happens. So I think we're coming up on almost a 1 year mark of owning our freeze dryer. And we get people that ask us a lot of like, do you like it? Is it worth it? And I think is it worth it is ultimately a question that you have to answer for yourself, and how much you're going to use it. How much do you harvest? How much do you need to preserve? Do you have other ways to preserve it? But I think that one of the things that we struggle with ours is, I think struggle is probably the right word. It works perfectly fine. It freeze dries food. What we struggle with is remembering we have it. and that being freeze dried food. So we often will freeze dry something, we'll put it in Mylar bags, and we stick it in our box down in the basement that's labeled freeze dried foods, and we forget about it. And we need something, and we might have some freeze dried downstairs in the basement, but we just forget that we have it. So one thing I've started to do recently is, instead of Mylar bagging everything, like I did a whole big giant batch of blueberries recently, is instead of Mylar bagging, I've been mason jarring them and then vacuum sealing them and keeping them upstairs in our pantry. That way, we're reminded that, hey, you have this food, you need to use this, you need to eat this, this is good, you will like it, you will enjoy it. So I think that's what our biggest struggle with it is remembering that stuff is there. So some of these I'm questioning if I should even do them. They're very, very brown, very, very mushy. So I've kind of picked out all the best ones, the best of the best, and we'll fill those trays and see how far we get. And if we have a tray left over, maybe we'll do one tray of really, really ugly ones. But like I said, I'm going to keep you guys all the way to the end. I don't want to leave you guys hanging with this video of like, well, then we got to make a follow-up video. So how did they actually taste? So stick around. This will not be long. The freeze dryer is probably going to take a good 24 hours to run. So I will join you guys back here tomorrow, and we'll give these a go and see how they turned out. It's a nice, I guess they're still kind of ugly, aren't they? Some of them. We can always turn the ugly ones into powder and keep the pretty ones to eat. So, all right, we'll see you guys back here when we get these loaded in, and then tomorrow we'll do a taste test. So it's actually been a couple days. We've been busy, so we just left them in the freeze dryer. If that happens to you, you know, it's done. Just leave it in there. It'll be fine. You can actually add more dry time if you need to. If you think they're not dry all the way, these are. So they've been down there for a couple days now.
Yes.
And they look better than I remember. I remember putting them in that day thinking, you know, they were like starting
to turn brown.
Brown and nasty and slimy, and they actually look better than I remember. So, you gonna try one?
Yes.
Rachel tried to sneak test before we turned on the camera, and I wouldn't let her. I smacked her hand so hard.
He did. I'm gonna just get a little one because I don't want to waste a big one. I said they look like peach popcorn bites, like those puff corn piece, you know, chips.
Yeah, they do, and they sound like it too.
Tastes like a peach.
Yeah.
I don't know that it tastes like, I almost feel like some of the sweetness is gone, maybe, but it's very mild peach flavor.
Yeah.
Unlike, remember with the watermelon, it got really intense with freeze drying.
Yeah. I think they're good though. We did take 2 pieces and rehydrated them in water. You want to try one of them?
Okay, I'm not the biggest fan of rehydrated food after.
Yeah, they're pretty slimy.
Yeah, I think my opinion, and this is my personal opinion of freeze-dried foods. My personal opinion of freeze-dried foods is it's good for a snack and it's good for survival. But and like maybe adding into things, but expecting freeze-dried food, rehydrated, dehydrated food, whatever, to come back to life perfectly. I've yet to experience it.
Yeah, maybe we need to try eggs.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what. But I just like the real thing too much, I think.
Yeah.
So what were your plans with these? I don't know what you told him.
I was thinking that some of the ugly ones, I know you wanted to turn some into powder for making, you know,
anything really,
breads or pancakes or whatever you
put it
want
to
to
our
add.
oatmeal.
Yeah, or smoothies.
Yep.
Not
Teas.
that we're big smoothie people, but
Yeah. We got grandkids now.
But I would like to at least keep one tray of good ones as chunks for putting in oatmeal and things like that, and then the rest will just turn into powder. And we definitely will put them in mason jar this time instead of the Mylar bags. There, that way we actually use them.
Yes, I found that that's another tip for us with freeze drying things. If they get stored in Mylar bags and put like in the system that we're using right now down in the pantry, every now and then, like celery is probably my main thing. Like I don't have, like celery freeze dried is the right way to store celery. So I'll go pull that bag out. And I had them put some in quart jars for me this year because I know if I have it on the pantry shelf, like in a quart jar, it's easier for me to access, know where it is versus sorting through all the bags and finding. Maybe you guys know of a better system for storing your freeze dried goods, but right now, it kind of gets stored more as emergency rations and emergency backup food than anything else.
Yeah.
So if we're going to eat these like snacks and add to oatmeal, like you said, then it's better if it's in quart jars and right in front of us to grab and use.
When we went to the cabin the last time and I brought them blueberries, did you put them in? Did they turn out good?
Well, you
I thought they rehydrated well.
Yeah, I mean, to me, though, it's still not a blueberry.
Yeah.
I mean, it adds the blueberry flavor and everything, but it's not like me throwing in my bag of fresh blueberries.
Sure.
So, yeah, I just want to be honest as we go through this freeze drying experience. I don't want to give you guys the perception that I think everything is phenomenal and great and oh my gosh. No, I mean, in my mind, there's an intent and a purpose and a use, and it serves that intent, that purpose, and that use, but it is not fresh food.
Right. I like them like as a snack for sure.
Yeah.
They're pretty good. To use those, do you need a certain amount of headspace? No.
So just put a oxygen absorber in there, a normal canning lid with a ring on it, and that will seal the jar. Keep the oxygen out.
Yep. Sometimes, like when I did the blueberry ones the other day, I actually used our vacuum sealer with our attachment and sucked the lids down. So maybe we could do that with one that's for long-term storage, and then we'll just leave this one and eat those.
Okay, I thought the oxygen absorber would do that by itself over time. It'll like seal it.
They could. They all each little packet of absorbers only absorbs so much. So if you put like 10 of them in there, it would probably suck the lid down. But if you just put one, it may not suck that much air out. So.
Alrighty, but I was thinking one of the things I didn't mention that I do find probably one of the most valuable purposes of especially powdered foods is if you have infants at home, babies, to make those squeezable pouches, to make homemade baby food. That to me is probably one of the best applicable uses of a freeze dryer in a home. But I was telling Todd adding this to our original barbecue sauce to make a peach barbecue sauce. Add a little spoon of this to your cottage cheese in the morning at breakfast for peach cottage cheese.
A lot of ideas, yeah.
Add it to your gelatin to make peach jello, all kinds of things. So I like I've told Todd I'm becoming more and more of a fan of powders over expecting reconstituted food to taste the same, because powders to me are more usable.
Does it not taste the same to you, or is the texture too different?
The texture is too different.
That's what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. It still tastes
Yes.
Okay.
If anything, like in my mind, freeze-dried watermelon is better than the real thing.
Right.
So, but it just doesn't reconstitute as watermelon.
Sure.
Anyway, peaches. If you guys have ideas or ways or want to see us use them in future recipes, you've got recipe ideas, leave them in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Indeed. We'll see you guys on the next video.
Bye, guys. This one is going to stay up here, though.
Yeah? You ready to use it already?
Yeah, I think so. I want cottage cheese now because I want to add it to cottage cheese.
Oh, I really want to crunch these up and put them in oatmeal.
Okay. Well, we've got Crocktober coming up, so we can make
All
our
right.
crock pot oatmeal.